Okay, welcome everybody to our Tiara Talk. I'm super excited that everybody is here. I usually do this once a month with my leaders, and I thought they probably are getting sick of hearing from me, so let's branch out. And I asked some directors if they wanted to help, and I was pleasantly surprised to get everybody that wanted to help. So thank you so much. We are actually talking, we should make this like a monthly thing, then we can all glean each other's wisdom. So today we are going to talk about rebuilding our team and setting a new vision for our team and for our business. I know many of us have probably experienced a struggle this fall with our business. We might have had some goals that weren't quite met, or we had some really awesome dreams that we weren't able to make. And I keep telling my team that I feel like I'm hemorrhaging leaders, that people are quitting, that have been working so hard that just are done. They just had it after the hardness. And so it's been kind of a frustrating time. And so I really wanted to really focus on today is how we're all pretty much in this rebuilding stage of our business. And we need to start focusing on rebuilding and recognizing that that's our time, that's what we need to be doing right now, and ways that we can start rebuilding. So what we're going to start off with is Dusty's going to kind of share quickly. Dusty, when you share, if you want to just kind of throw out a little like introduction about your guys' selves. And then Beth is going to move on second, and then Melody will be third, and then Alyssa will be fourth, and then I will just finalize everything at the very end. So the first thing that Dusty is going to talk about is rebuilding and setting the vision for our leaders to rebuild.
Hi, I'm Dusty, the mom in the minivan. I have been with Usborne, for those of you who don't know me, for almost 3 years now, and I started in September of 2014, and I became a director. I'm on my almost 2-year anniversary there. But Amanda's right, it really is a time where the majority of the company, really in leadership, are almost, we feel like we might be starting from scratch. And I found the fall really hard. There's no denying that. And anyway, we all took hits, whether it was with our own personal customers or hosts in our own personal sales and businesses, or whether it was with losing longtime members of our team, or even those who had only been around a short time, and even leaders. And it's kind of just the overarching theme with many people right now. And so what I found that's been working for the most part, we've still had a few people kind of leaving. Just when I thought we were over that hump, we did this quarter, we're losing a couple more. But what I've tried to do with my leaders is, first, I had to take a step back myself and just refocus my own purpose. Remind myself of my own why, and why I was doing this, why I wanted to continue to work my business, why I believed in the product, in the company, in my team. And I took probably almost the entire month of January. I was still working, but I kind of stepped back and just made a new set of goals. Tabitha Roach, who I'm sure many of you know, but she's my director, had put a bug in my ear about just kind of forcefully moving my mind shift. Stop looking at what things should be right now based on where my team was at this point last year, how it was growing, and just settle into the reality of right now. And that made a lot of sense to me. And once I started to do that, I found that my own mindset shifted. And so then I was able to better lead my team. And so what I've been telling my leaders now is, first, your team is going to follow your example, at least those who are actively working. When you're in leadership, they look up to you, and they look to see what you're doing. Even if they're not vocal about it, they're watching you. So if you can refocus yourself on your own business and what you need to get back to where you want to be right now, that's the very first step. So I've been encouraging my leaders. We've run several booking challenges lately just to fill our calendars, because we all know that's, the cornerstone of all of our businesses is having parties. And that's what gets you in front of new people and out of the circles that you're in order to start regrowing your own business. Sorry, I got a low battery pop up there. And then once we start doing that, not only is it setting an example, but it's also showing our team that we're still working too. We're in the trenches with them. I found that sometimes consultants might have this idea that as leaders, we don't have to work as hard as they do to keep our own personal businesses moving. So I've been very open with my team about my own booking slumps and that I'm rebuilding too. It's not just them, it's all of us, and rallying them all around the idea that we're in this one step at a time together. So I've been encouraging my leaders to focus, not to neglect their teams, but to really take some time to focus heavily on your own personal goals and start things moving in a direction to reach those, so that we're setting the example to flow down to our team members as well. And that's really been working well for us. I've also been encouraging people that if they feel more comfortable, it's always great to have, a big goal. I have a dream board. I encourage people or a vision board. There's different names for that, to have that. And you're always working towards those goals. But if it makes you feel better for now to just compartmentalize those a little more and start small. Say this month, for instance, I'll share with you mine. It was not necessarily easy, but easier a year ago for me to make sure that I hit HOC2 every month. That was my personal business goal, and I did it for the most part without really trying very hard. And then last year hit, I found myself in a place where even hitting HOC1 might be a little bit more difficult and required a little bit of help. So I really had to dig into the resources that we have available and open myself up to trying new things outside of the things that I usually did. And so then I made it my goal, instead of hitting HOC2 every month, I said, we're going to start with hitting HOC1 every month. And then I started to do the things that I needed to do to get that goal. And then once you do that, it starts to rebuild your confidence. And then you set another goal and move on. So I've been encouraging my leaders to do that as well. And that seems to have helped most of them who are still feeling a little downtrodden from the fall start to pick up themselves, if that makes sense. And then, of course, when it starts to work for them, they can go back and share with their teams and encourage them to do the same. I don't want to ramble too long. I can do that, get verbose. Does anyone have any questions about what I said or anything like that? Oh. And I can't see the chat, so if there's something there, if someone else will share, that'd be great.
It was great. And I agree with what you were saying about making sure everybody knows that everybody's rebuilding and giving people permission to regroup and start no matter where they are.
I think I entered the new year with no parties on my calendar. I had 0. After December, I had nothing booked through January. And in the past, I've always encouraged having a few January parties before Christmas to carry you over, because it's a slower season anyway. But I had nothing. And I was feeling rather discouraged about that. And that's when I first started to have that little bug here. And so I spent a lot of time during that time focusing on all the things that I need to do this year to get where I'd like to hit. Just separating the past is the past. I kind of have to let that go now. What can we do now to get us where we want to be now? And that's what I've been encouraging my leaders to do, especially I have a few execs that have been feeling the burden too, and I've really been trying to encourage them to take that time for themselves. Because once you find your own why again, it's easier to become motivated to push forward and then encourage your team to do the same.
Well, I think Pamela mentioned something which kind of mentioned what Dusty was saying, is that everyone's rebuilding. It makes me think a lot is, I think for such a long time, it took people a lot longer to experience leader level successes. And when Facebook came into it, it totally changed the dynamics of our company. So we are so now in the last 4 to 5 years, we're so like ready to expect that you're going to get instant success. And so I think when now we're experiencing in the fall, we experienced a little bit of a challenge. A lot of us who were expecting to have all that awesome success are kind of like left like, what the heck happened? But in reality, if you think back to before the time of Facebook, it was taking people years and years and years to get to the position that many people are now because the dynamics were different. And so I think we just need to kind of sometimes change our perspective and change, because a success is success regardless of how long it takes you to get there. And like, yeah, maybe it's going to take me a little longer to get my $10,000 check, but it's going to happen still. It might just not be as fast as I anticipated. So
exactly. There's a good challenge. I did it with my team long before By Design, but I've been toying with bringing back, and it actually wasn't my idea, although I did make graphics for it. I want to say it might have come from Tabitha. She's like, has all the great ideas, but it's called Bring Your Best. And we had a hashtag. We do hashtags for our team challenges just to make posts for them found easier. And it's all about bringing your best, not necessarily all sales centered or recruit centered or how many parties you have on your calendar, but just celebrating your successes individually. And I find that something like that really increases morale in a group, whether it's your leaders or just everyone all together, because it makes them start to look at, what am I doing well right now? Maybe I've been really awesome about reaching out to leads where I was more shy about it before. Maybe I am becoming more open with asking people to host parties where I wasn't before. And so you can really use that as a very broad scope to help people use perspective and look at, where are you succeeding? Success isn't always your paycheck or how many parties on your calendar. And so sometimes, like you said, we're an instant gratification society anyway. And this sort of thing just feeds that. And so people do. Also, it helps break away the comparisons, because you can look at, Billy Sue, who shot up the ranks of leadership this quick, but I didn't do that. Does that mean my business isn't doing well? And that's not true. We all have our own paces. We all have different things in our lives that may help us propel forward or help it slow down a little bit. And we all have to realize that we're individual people.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Dusty, that's amazing that it totally led into exactly what I was going to say. It's like we planned it. So one of the things I always wanted to share with you guys today was about recruiting, helping you to rebuild. We all know getting a new recruit is always going to change your perspective, and immediately, like their energy is just going to fuel you. But we do have a lot of people in the last 12 months or so who have been very results centered and results oriented, and they focus so much on the results that they don't see what the efforts were to get those results all the time, and they also don't always know how to measure what it took to get there, so that they can continue to do that in the future. So I'm actually at a brunch with some of my team leaders that are here locally and people who are working to promote. And I hopped up into Tracy's bedroom really quick to find a quiet corner. So I will be excusing myself as soon as this is over. I apologize that I have to do that. But I did want to share with you about the recruiting. So recruiting can kind of just be a process, right? Instead of putting our hearts into a human being and thinking, they're my next leader, they're my next recruit, that can have too much emotional attachment. So by making it a very procedural thing that you just do over and over again, and it becomes routine, it helps your team to also make things like that a routine. And so I always talk about how there's two different ways that people recruit. They recruit as they go, which means at your parties, at your events, with the people that you meet. It's dropping all of the seeds. It's listening really hard so that when they're asking the questions, you know what kind of questions they're actually asking. They don't care how much money you make. They actually want to know how much money they could make, that kind of thing. There's that method. But then there's also the intentional way to recruit, which is to set aside a list of people that you would like to purposely talk to. And that can be some of the leads that you do find along the way. And this could be the next step in that. Or it could be people that you haven't talked to about this business before. And this is what I mean by making it just a very procedural thing. So the dropping the seeds and then the making the list. And then what you do is each person, you put 3 bullet points under their name. And you want to think through the conversation that you want to have before you have it. It's pretty simple. So the first bullet point is always going to be, why do I want this person on my team? Like, why did they make the list? And just write that down, whatever comes to mind. The next one is going to be, what do I think is going to pique their interest? Like, why are they excited about this? Like, what about our company specifically and our business model specifically would really hit a hot button with that person? And then the last one is always going to be, why are they actually going to be good at this? And through Life in Colors and knowing all of that, we know that almost any skill or any attribute is going to fit that bill. But the knee-jerk reaction that most people have to recruiting is that they couldn't do sales, or, oh, I could never talk to people, and or it's always I could never. So by pointing out to them why they could before they ever even have the knee-jerk reaction, you eliminate what I think is actually the top reason people do not recruit or even try. And that is not a fear of failure, and it's not even a fear of success. It's a fear of being insulted. So we have this why. We know what our why is. We have a dream about this company, this business, what it holds in our heart, why we want to do this and why we love it. And we know that if we go out and share that with other people, there's a chance that someone might say something that's a little insulting to us. It might actually be that they say, sales? And you're like, yeah, that's what I do. It could be very rude. But when you start a conversation by saying, Jackie, we've been friends a long time, and I really, I just love hanging out with you. And I have been thinking about ways that we could try to spend more time together. And one of the things that I've been thinking is that if you actually join my team with Usborne, we would have an opportunity to see a lot of each other. And I know I've been listening to you and your husband talk about wanting to go on that second honeymoon. And I was thinking maybe Usborne Books and More could really be a solution for you. And I also know that you really have so many skills from when you were a tax accountant years ago. You are super organized, and you know that I'm really not. But I think between your organization and the things that I have, like together, that could really be dynamic. And I don't know if you've ever even given it a second thought, but if you have ever done it at all, like just even a passing glance, like I would love to just sit down with you sometime and chat and see if this could be a fit for you. And there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Now that person is not going to insult you, okay? You have just genuinely given them compliments, and you've genuinely told them why you want them on your team and why they would be good at it and what it could do for them. So there's nothing that could ever come bad out of that conversation. The worst thing is going to be, oh, thanks for thinking of me. There is really no way that I think I could fit direct sales into my life, and I have no desire to do that, but thanks for thinking of me. Like, they're going to be nice about it. So if you can train your team this simple little skill, and then you can help them with like the follow through and the follow up and, talking to them and getting their objections out and that kind of stuff. You just end up proceduralizing, if that's a word. You make it into a procedure so that it isn't such a scary conversation. They can think it through ahead of time. They can be authentic and genuine in that conversation. And they can really actually make some headway with some of the people in their lives that they would really like to approach about the business. So that is what I would leave you guys with today, is just to try to take we've had such an emotional roller coaster of ups and downs lately. So just let's take as much emotion out of all of the processes that we have. And I think that will also kind of take out some stuff. And then not focusing so much on the success, but focusing on, and the results, but focusing on the effort. And when you talk to this many people and you do this so many times, you're going to have results. And those results are going to bring you your goals that you want. So that's kind of where I was at. I'm not sure who's next. Amanda, did you want to jump in? Thanks for inviting me too. Is it Alyssa or Melody?
Hey, it's me. I'm next.
Awesome.
Yay. Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you for that. It's so good. So I'm talking about filling your calendar, having the personal business that Dusty mentioned earlier, that shows your team that you're working too and that you're in this with them. So if you have, I want you to raise your hand if you have a full calendar for the summer. I have a full calendar. Sarah does. And good job, Sarah. Okay. That's great. But yay. So most of us don't have a full calendar for the summer. So if you're on my team, we've already done this, but I want everyone to hear that, you just have to go back to the basics to fill your calendar, and you need to get a calendar and, get a calendar. This was my first one, and I've just printed it out. You all know how to do this. And like this was, and you highlight the days you want to work. It says, back to basics. You highlight your open dates, and then you go through and you work your list, whether it's a booking notebook or a new list that you create, but you work that list and you fill those dates. And then
it itches.
Someone has an itch. So anyway, just go back to the basics. And it's really easy, I think, for us as leaders to tell people what to do, but then we don't do it ourselves. I'm guilty of that. And I think, we just really have to lead by example and do that. And if you're in a rut, then I would encourage you to find a way to put some fun in it for you and even for your team. And that's where, booking blitzes come in. Our team just did one. And it was just a lot of fun, and just doing it together as a team just really made it more special and, made me really want to do it too. So that's all I have to share, is just really go back to the basics. If you don't have a full calendar and you want a full calendar, print out something. It can be free, print it out, and then highlight the days you want to work, and then just go back to Consultant 101 and start calling people. Everyone from the past, you're all leaders, so you've all had parties, you all know what to do. Now you just have to kind of decide that you're going to do it. And that's where the hard part comes in, is really deciding that I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have a great summer, and my team is going to be awesome. Now I'm going to take those steps. And that kind of leads into the growth mindset that Alyssa's going to talk about.
Hey, so I am, I get to talk to you guys about a growth mindset and promoting out leaders. And the two things that we just talked about, recruiting and your personal calendar, those are essential to make the next part really fantastic. Because I know when I first had my, went from team leader to start, all of a sudden having all that, the craziness it felt like happened under me, I had started off with the very, very basics. And that was, I started off with getting a completely full calendar. I did this in July, and I had all the, I had book fairs and booths and all that. And then I started scheduling in all my home shows. I had this crazy calendar, but I had nothing in September. And now that I look back on it, for me, I see that God set September aside for me, because I couldn't get any bookings. I was like, what's up with this? But I recruited April Starkey, and it was almost the beginning of September. And by the end of that month, we had 30 new people on our team, which back then was mind blowing. And I see now that it was set up so that I could be able to start dealing with the recruiting thing. And then I was able to continue right in with my personal business. But so your personal business is super important. But when we talk about growth, we often hear about the culture of promotion and all of these different things. I want to talk to you. I have 7 things on how to have a better growth mindset, or how to promote people out better, just little things to help with that. But first I want to talk about why do we do this? I think we all know, but I just want to have a little refreshment reminder for all of us, okay? Yes, number one, let's just unequivocally all just go right there. It does help our bank account grow. We know that, so I'm not going to gloss over and be all well, that's nice, but we don't really care. Actually, we all do care. Come on now. We want the money that comes with it too, because if you're going to put in the work, which it does get to be more work the farther up you go, it is nice to be compensated for that extra work. For me, being a leader and growing was a huge part of me knowing that I need to provide more for my family. My husband lost his job recently. And so for me, it is super important for me to have as much as I can, not only on my personal calendar, but with my team, because together they're helping us hopefully pay our bills each month. But there's two reasons that I feel like, besides obviously that are really important. One is we get to help transform others' lives. All of you are in here because someone decided to believe in you and believe that you could help transform others' lives. And so we then decided to instill that belief in you, and then you promoted. Now, I'm not saying we did the promotion, you still did it, but we believed in you. So we need to have that same belief in all of our central groups. The second thing is, I don't know how many of you grew up very wealthy or whatever. I didn't grow up wealthy, but one thing I never lacked in was books. And I had books. They weren't Osborne books, but I had lots and lots of books, read lots and lots of books. And the other thing I think is that my reach alone can't go too far, but our reach together can transform this country. So if I am a leader, but I'm not really encouraging recruiting or promotion or all that, I'm actually limiting the scope of my influence as well as the ability to change others' lives. So when we realize that when we actually are promoting people out, not only are we transforming their personal life, we get to start transforming their community. And because of Facebook now, we're actually being able to transform the world, because we're not just limited technically kind of to America. We can go to our bases. So I just wanted to point those things out. So here are my 7 things that really helped me with this. One is to start off as a leader is to instill vision and team culture. I know we talked about like the culture of promotion, all that kind of stuff. I actually want to challenge your thought. We actually had this, we did a big leadership retreat for some of our leaders. And one of the things we talked about was we all talk about a culture of promotion, but I don't actually want a culture of promotion. I know everyone here is dying because I'm talking about promotion and I'm saying I don't want a culture of promotion. But this is why. I believe promotion should be a byproduct of your culture. So it will definitely happen. I also think booking should be a byproduct of your culture. All these things come because of your culture. Our team has decided that our culture is sistering. We have totally embraced the fact that it's about togetherness. It's about being there for each other. When somebody is weak, I will be strong for them. And so because of this culture, I don't feel like we lost as many leaders. Now, mind you, my leaders were not selling a ton. I will fully admit it. But we didn't lose them, and they're all starting to slowly come back. And so we actually, instead of dealing with just like, I want to move up, I want to move up, I want to move up, and promoting, we focus on, let's get together, let's be together, let's be stronger together. And now, because of that culture, now we are focusing in on, let's promote, let's recruit, let's do all these things and bring them into our culture. And by embracing whatever your team culture wants to be, and I would encourage you to sit down and like really start hashing out to what do we want our culture to be? Not the byproduct of our culture, but what do we want our actual culture to be? Second, be active. Okay, I think I can speak here unequivocally for every director, so they don't have to be the mean guys. And if you're on my team, I'm the mean guy, so that's okay. No man is an island, okay? It is so nice when leaders jump in and they support us and they help us and they get behind any kind of thing. If we're doing a team challenge, get in there, participate yourself, be active, tag your team and get them encouraged and excited about doing it. When they see you excited, when your team sees you excited, they will jump on board almost any ship that's flying by. Okay, they don't want to miss the party boat. So make sure it seems like a party boat, because if it's just me posting on the page, hey, we're having a booking blitz. Oh, look, I just called another person. Oh, look, I called no one else is. It's not a party boat. It's a sinking ship. So come and get on the party boat with whatever your leader's doing. So be active in team challenges, in booking blitzes, promotion events, whatever it is you're doing, be active. That starts creating this growth mindedness in you and in your team. Number 1, make sure that your team's seeing you do stuff. This fall, my team saw me pretty much do one thing and one thing only, and that was solving problems. And I'm going to tell you right now, nobody wanted to be a director on my team. Did you guys? No. Okay. So because that does not look like fun. Okay. So what you want to do as leaders now, okay, is let your team see what you're doing. So for instance, like, are you having a party? Let them know that. Say, hey, I'm partying tonight. Who else is partying with me? Make it an exciting thing. Let them know the activity that you're doing, because you want to lead by example. But you can't lead by example if they don't see your example. And so in Facebook land, that makes it a little bit harder. We started doing something called Team Party Tuesday in January in my smaller group. So Team Party Tuesday was basically, I just decided I was going to try to have a party every single Tuesday. And if I didn't have a party, I was going to be booking parties. And so now we have this thing. So I post like, it's Team Party Tuesday. Who's partying? If you're not partying, don't worry. Today is booking day. And so like, we've just kind of created this thing. And then on Friday, it's always follow-up Friday, because now you can follow up with all those party things that you had on Tuesday. It's just a way to kind of start creating something. And I make sure I post so my team is seeing I'm doing the same things I'm asking them to do, because we don't want to be the kind of people who are dictators. We want to be mentors and leaders. The next thing to do in promoting out leaders and growth mindedness is to identify and nurture the people that we think could be fantastic. Okay. And sometimes you might need to sit back and analyze, am I judging these people? I have a fantastic girl in my downline who really, really wants to be a leader. And I've kind of said in the past, I'm like, I'm not sure she'd be the best leader because, this and because of that. I mean, she would love on everybody. Like, that's my thing. She'd love on everybody, but like, she doesn't have natural leadership characteristics. But guess what? That's a privilege I have, than to be able to help nurture those. So now that I've identified, now start nurturing those characteristics in people. Number 4, we talked about like the whole team culture. That was kind of like a little beforehand, but not coming back to that. Be a part of your team culture. Whatever, like I was just reading a leadership book, and I said, whatever your culture is, put that in everything you talk about. So if you're talking about recruiting, you've mentioned the fact that we have a great sistering thing. We just did a Friend-a-Palooza event. Thank you, Melody, for that fantastic idea. And I got to go live at the very end of it. And I talked about our sistering culture. And we had somebody write and said, that is exactly what I've been longing for. And it was like, whatever your culture is, make that stand out. Make that be why people want to be a part of it. Are you booking? Be like, oh, you know what? I cannot wait to have a party. Our leaders, we all work together so well. So if you need anything, don't worry. Somebody's got my back. Letting people know that that is what your culture is. Letting your team know we are always here for you, because that's our culture. Whatever it is that you want your culture to be active and a part of it. Next is when you find those, sorry, this kind of got out of order. When you find those people to nurture, plug them in, mentor them. That includes us upper level leaders, I guess you could say, plugging in people. I actually talked to Sarah, who's on this call recently, about her and one of her other leaders. I want us to work on a really great booth training. They're fantastic at booths. Utilize your leaders, utilize your central group to be able to step up and mentor them in it. Don't just be like, can you write a training on this? Bam. Help them, because for some people that's overwhelming. The idea of writing a training is like, oh, they're not that scary. I actually did a whole training on how to write a training. Yes. But so like help your teams to be able to do, to mentor them, plug them into places, but don't leave them hanging. Mentor them through how to do those things. Next is to have purposeful connection with your central group members, your future leaders, and any leaders under you. And what do I mean by purposeful connection? We are women. Surprise. I think everyone on here is. I looked. Before I say that, we are born, we want and we crave to be loved. We want to feel purposeful. We want to feel useful. And we can't detach who we are from our businesses too well. It's like the whole, men can be waffles and they can have everything compartmentalized. We can't do that as easily. Even if we're green, there's still parts of us that overlap. So purposeful communication and connection means that I care about you more than your sales. There is nothing worse than like trying to get something and being all like, so how close are you? I'm trying to hit this thing. Do you think you can have another $500 in sales by the end of this month? But you haven't talked to them about anything else.
look at what's going on in their lives. I made the mistake of doing that exact thing only to find out their child was in the hospital right then. Talk about humiliating. It's like, that is obviously not their priority, is trying to get sales for me when your child is in the hospital. And so now I try to be very in tune with like, what is going on in my team's lives? Like, oh, your husband just moved. Okay, how are you doing? Just finding out how they're doing. Even recruit leads, you guys. I try to keep up on Facebook with some of my recruit leads. And I'm just like, don't ask. I'm not asking them about Usborne. I'm just saying, hey, so I saw that your pet was in the hospital. Are they okay now? I'm keeping them and me connected. And there was one girl, Kat, who I stayed connected with for 2 years. 2 years. And I just would be kind to her. She finally joined, and she says the best thing she's ever done, and it has transformed her life. And it wasn't like I was writing her every day, mind you. It was like more like every 2 or 3 months, kind of thing, just but liking their pages, their posts and stuff like that. But purposely connecting with your leaders and your Central Group members. The second thing is, especially for all of you all, is to lead by example, again, with your Central Group members, like showing them, talking to them, like showing them how it is to be a leader. Because if we want to promote out leaders, we can't let it look scary, like looking like a director looked like in the fall. Okay. We don't want this because it's not scary. Being a leader does take some more time, but the rewards far outweigh that extra time that it takes. Let them know what it takes. When they start getting into that journey, like, month 1, start talking to them about the things that becoming a leader is. One thing that I am not a big believer in is that everyone should be a leader. I know. Sorry for all of you directors who were not wanting me to say some of these things. I don't believe everyone is called to be a leader. And that's why we have some leaders who aren't doing anything. And then you as a leader still are doing everything for their central groups. Okay. We want leaders who want to lead, who want to transform lives. They make exceptional leaders. That doesn't mean that sometimes people don't end up becoming exceptional leaders who weren't expecting to be, but I don't feel like I want to rush people into leadership. I want them to want to be in leadership. I want them to want to change lives. So leading by example and really having a system for helping them in that process of becoming a leader, deciding to all the way through those first 3 or 4 months afterward, not leaving them like high and dry and being like, have fun, glad you became a leader, woo, like now go train everybody, but we're not telling you how. Have a system for being able to share and explain and how to do all these things. Anyway, so those are my little tips on how to be a little more growth-minded and working towards promoting out your leaders. And now it is the amazing Amanda Zorns.
Thank you, ladies. I have my notes going like crazy. So thank you. I hope everybody else has gotten some awesome wisdom from this call. So in closing, I want to talk about what do you do when you have disappointments, and how do you get through those disappointments that help us spur that rebuilding. This is all about the attitude adjustment. This is about the attitude adjustment that we need. Dusty talked about this in her call, where she realized in December and January that she needed to stop looking back at what could have been and start looking forward at what can happen. And that's kind of the same situation that I went through. And that's something that I want to challenge everybody to do, is start looking at the amazing opportunities that we have, and not mourning the things that could have happened in the fall. At ELC, when we got together, Heather kind of apologized to everybody, and she said that she was sorry that many of us had goals that we didn't accomplish and had dreams that we didn't reach. And when she was saying that, it really hit me that this was the time, ELC was that time for me to really take, to move forward, to look forward to my life and look forward to what I needed to accomplish. Just one second. Okay, of course, the one time that it's my time is when people come over. So I just know that when I came from ELC, like my big takeaway from ELC was that it was time for me to change my mindset. It was time for me to stop looking at what could have been, looking at that $10,000 check that I should have had, and all the people who I lost during that time, and start realizing that it was time for me to move forward and to start doing what I could to control my future. One thing that really hits me when it comes to hard times in our business, I've been doing this for almost 7 years. I feel like I have a pretty good track record when it comes to my success in the company. Hurry. I know how to book parties. I know how to get bookings. I know how to recruit people. And we all are in a position in our business where we know how to do that stuff. We might have times in our business where they are struggles, but we know how to do it. We know how to fill our calendar. We know how to promote somebody. We promoted ourselves. We know how to do a support ticket and to close a party. Most of us probably can close a party in Order Pro now in like 10 minutes, and it's amazing. So we know how to do that. We have a really great track record for success. So when we feel down about certain times in our business, we need to remember that we need to hold on to that we know what we're doing, and we just need to embrace that. We can do it. We can get through those times. I remember when I had just promoted to team leader. I'd been with Usborne for 2 years. I promoted to team leader, and I just attended my first ELC. And I came home, and I remember like I wrote out all these goals that I had. I was completely inspired. And my goal that year was to get one preschool book fair. I'd never done a preschool book fair, and that was my goal, is to get one preschool book fair. And now I do 6 to 12 preschool book fairs a year. When I lose a book preschool, I know what I need to do to go get another one. And I remember talking to my husband about it one day, and he said, do you remember when that one book fair was really, really scary? And now look at you, like your calendar, you're full with it and you know what to do. So I think we all have that experience, and we need to hold on to those things that we've accomplished in our business, because it's going to be a trajectory forward. And then the last thing that I want to share is when we're feeling down in our business, in what we can accomplish, that we need to create mantras in our mind to help us propel forward. Whenever I'm looking for a recruit lead, I always tell myself, I'm a recruiting magnet. I'm a recruiting magnet. And that becomes my mantra. When I do a booth and I need to fill my calendar, that becomes my focus. And that's what I'm doing. I'm a booking magnet. I'm a recruiting magnet. And it's interesting. It's cool. I don't know the science behind it, but when I'm telling myself that, it actually seems to happen. It's like good things come to me when I'm thinking those things. And so as we go forward, we need to create some mantras for our business to help us and to know that we are going to accomplish amazing things. It's time for us to start to start running and to be excited about our business. I have a personal mantra that I have, and it's in my office. It's up in my bedroom, and I look over it and I feel like it just holds all the things that I need. Whenever I have a questionable time in my life, the mantra reminds me of what I can accomplish. So I'm going to share that really quick. And sometimes I am a dork, and I'll just be in my office and I'll just repeat this mantra over and over and over again, because I feel like as I say it, it becomes more true. And I start believing it. Not only these things are true, but it becomes something that I can accomplish. So my mantra is, I am a daughter of God. He loves me. I am worth it. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am healthy. I make good choices for my body. I am happy. I am fearless. I'm a terrific mother and wife. I love my work. I'm passionate about improving literacy and empowering women. Everyone wants to be on my team. I am a recruiting magnet. My team members are successful. I promote leaders and directors. So everything that I want for myself is in that mantra. Whenever I feel down about myself, I go to that mantra, because I know those words are true. It's just convincing myself that they are. We are our number one best cheerleader, but we're also our number one worst enemy. And so the mindset that we need to be able to accomplish awesomeness starts within our own head, starts within what we can accomplish. And today we need to make that change. We need to allow something to change inside of us that will push us forward and make us help us to be successful. So I don't know, I am just grateful for what the business has accomplished, what it has brought to my life. I have struggled this month. It's been kind of, when Dusty talked about her month in January where she still worked, but she kind of like kind of self-reflected. That's kind of been my month this month. And I know that I am super stoked for convention, to be able to go and to get refueled, to get excited, to see what awesomeness is available in the business, and to be reminded of why I'm doing this. And I know that we're all rebuilding, but we are, like Pamela said, we have to start we all have permission to start where we currently are. And that rebuilding is going to be awesome, and it's going to be great. So that is all that I have. Do you guys have any questions? Are there any thoughts that stood out to you? We have a couple minutes. We can, you guys can share stuff. You can unmute yourselves. Any thoughts that stood out to you?
I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I wish that I wasn't in my car. I could have taken more notes.
I think it really is, Amanda, about the mindset, what she said. Like you have to, I know the whole law of attraction thing, it can be controversial, but if you just go to your mind, you really do have to see yourself doing things and succeeding before the actions you take are going to lead you to that place. So it all really starts in your mind, and whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And we've all heard that before. But I have to remind myself every day that, if I'm going to book parties, I'm great at booking parties. You have to say it, and then your actions will follow that, your belief. So that was a great point you made, Amanda.
Well, I think we see these super successful people in the business. And the reason that they're successful is because they have a confidence. They elude a confidence. Like if I were going to sign up to sell something and to be on somebody's team, of course I'm going to want to be on one of the most successful people in the company, because they know what they're doing. They have that confidence. And so honestly, when it has come to this business, if I could attribute anything to success to this business, is the motto is fake it till you make it. Everybody else doesn't need to know that I'm scared inside and I'm shaking and I'm about to pee my pants, but I'm going to fake it, and I'm going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about. And I feel like that even that fake confidence brings people party. People want to book parties with me. People want to order books from me because I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm talking about. And so when it comes to us being successful for our business, when it comes for us to want to be successful, we need to fake it. Even if you might not necessarily believe that you're going to be a director by the end of the year or whatever, keep telling yourself that. Fake it until you believe in it. Fake it until it starts to become a truth for you. So.
And I'm a gold, so I will throw out that I'm a gold here, but like something that like I know has really helped me, because I've worked through the mindset thing, but once I work through the mindset, I have to also have a clear cut plan. Like you have to kind of know what you're doing. So like I actually got a whiteboard, because you hear about all these like leaders who have whiteboards, but like I never could get them to work. And I finally realized what I wanted my whiteboard to look like. And I was super excited, just saying, but this is a very yellow thing. Okay. I'm a gold thing. I'm yellow. Anyways, I actually wrote on it personal business on half of the board, and now it says parties. I counted 1 through 20, and I know how much I want myself to do and how much like I can physically do. But then I did like preschool book fairs, and I did 1 through 10. And now my goal is that between now and December 1st, that I'm going to fill in all 20 of those things with parties and all 10 of those places with a book fair that I've done. And I think that that's really important, is to like figure out a system for you. Like I have all my dates highlighted, how like, I think it was Amanda had shown, like that's super important, having it, but also having a visual thing where you can kind of like almost see a countdown. So that's like an orange thing too, I guess, in me. I don't know. I'm like all the colors. I'm a weird rainbow. But like, I like seeing the progress. I like seeing the success, and like I can cheer myself on and be like, I only got 5 more. It's a great way to be able to see that visually every single day.
I want to piggyback on that. I'm gold too. Very, very, very gold. Surprise. But I even did that in a smaller capacity. I got really excited. I didn't earn Disney this year, which I really took to heart. Really badly, probably more than I should, but I didn't give myself, I had a baby last year on top of everything that was going. And so I gave myself finally, after lots of, internal monologue to myself about why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that to get there. I gave myself permission to say it was okay that my business wasn't, rocking off my socks all year last year. There were other things at play, but I have not earning it also made me realize I don't want to feel that again. And for me, home office issuing the recruiting challenge this month was like a light bulb for me. And so I actually broke down the month and I was like, by this date, I want this much in sales. And by this date, I want this much in sales. So it's my goal this month to hit that 3,000 and 2 recruits. And we're roughly over halfway, and I'm halfway there. I've got 1 recruit and I'm halfway there in sales. And honestly, I lost a party because I convinced my host tonight to sign up. So I got my recruit, but I only have 2 more parties on my calendar for the month and nothing else. So I'm, having to brainstorm, but having that in my mind as my goal has really helped me to focus. And I do visuals too. I do visuals too. I like to have graphics. And another tip, sorry, my husband's trying to reach me. But get your kids involved, because having them kind of cheering me on, Mom, how close are you to the goal? What are you going to do next so that you can get there, is kind of a motivator in itself, because I want them to be excited with me. So just another tip to piggyback on that.
Yeah, like I'll tell you, this year I have to earn whatever trip it is, because 2 years ago I set myself up kind of for like success/failure, because I announced to my children that when they graduate from 8th grade, that whatever trip that Usborne was going to take them on, it was going to be a mommy and daughter trip. So that means I have to definitely earn this year's trip, and the 2 years from then, and the 2 years from then. So yeah, it's, but getting your kids involved. The first trip I ever earned was Atlantis, and it was seriously so much because of my kids. Like they were relentless in believing in me when I did not believe in myself. Like I'd be like, I'm just not gonna do it. And they go, you can say that, Mommy, but we know you can do this. And it was like the most amazing feeling when I told them, we did it. We earned Atlantis. And it was a we. It was not a me.
All righty. Well, anybody else have any thoughts? Thank you guys so much for coming and participating. I hope that you have felt inspired that something to change, something, even if it's just something little, in your business to help propel yourself and start building the business that we want for ourselves and for our team. So thank you so much. Thanks, directors, for helping out and taking the time to do this. It was great. Thank you, guys. We will see you all in a couple weeks.
Woohoo! Thank you.
See ya. Thanks.